Okay, so in this video we're going to be going over how to properly add borders to your Excel tables and to your models and data sets that you're working with. And again, this is something that you'll be expected to do a lot as an analyst in investment banking or sometimes even in private equity. They don't care quite as much about appearances, but you'll still end up doing this type of stuff quite frequently. So as with pretty much anything else formatting related, the way to do this is to do Control 1, press Control 1, and press B to go to border. And you see a lot of the different options available right here. Alt N will remove any borders from your area. Alt O, the outline thing here, right here, will add borders around this whole area. And then you can also remove and add specific sides by pressing Alt T for top, Alt R for the right, Alt L for the left, Alt B for the bottom. Those are the most common to have. Most of the time when you're using Excel to do this, you just have an outline around the entire box, but there are cases where you'll just have an outline on the right side, for example. So these shortcuts are good to get to know. So again, Alt B for removing and adding the bottom, Alt L for removing and adding the left side, Alt R for the right side, and Alt T for removing and adding the top part. Now in terms of styles, we can go over here and press Alt S and scroll through some of these. To be honest, most of the time in banking, you just use this very standard one that's right here. It actually looks kind of weird if you start using some of the more unorthodox ones over here. So most of the time, you never really change this. And then same with color. Most of the time, you just use the standard black for borders. So it's good to know that this exists and that you can change it, but it's not really essential most of the time in investment banking. But those are really the basics for borders. So it's actually quite straightforward, just like fonts. And those are really the basic commands you need to know from within the Control 1 box right here. So we'll just press Escape to exit out of this. Now, the useful shortcuts that you need to know that eliminate the need to have to go to that Control 1 box are Control Shift 7 or Control Shift ampersand. And this puts a border, you probably can't see it there, so I'll do it again this different area, but Control Shift 7 puts a border around whatever cell you're in. This is very, very useful, and you will find yourself using this all the time. It's a great shortcut and another one that actually a lot of people in investment banking don't even know about. I'll just press Control Z to undo those. But Control Shift 7 adds it, and then Control Shift hyphen or Control Shift underscore removes it. So both very useful shortcuts, and you'll find yourself using them all the time in Excel. So those are the basics, and as you can see, it's really not too complicated. It's basically just Control 1 and B to get to the border, and then the Alt key plus whatever shortcuts you see here, T for top, R for right, B for bottom, and L for left, as well as the none and the outline commands. Those are the most common ones that you need to know. And then, of course, what we just went over, the Control Shift 7 to add a border to the cell that you're in, or the area of cells that you're in, and then Control Shift hyphen or underscore to remove it. So for your exercise, your practice here, here's what I want you to do. So I'm going to add a border around this whole area. And then I'm going to go up to the top here, this top row, and I want to add a border to just the bottom part of this area. And the reason you see borders on the top, left, and right as well are because we added borders there originally. So I want to add an additional border to the bottom right here. And that's it. So pretty simple. Just try to replicate what I've done on screen where I selected this whole area and added a border around it, and then went up to the top and just added a border to the bottom of this particular row right here. Try to replicate that. And then once you're done, or if you get stuck, just resume this video after you pause it, and then I'll walk through it and go through how I did everything on screen. Okay, good. So I'm just going to undo what I did before. And the first thing we want to do is press Control Shift down and then right to select this whole area. And then Control Shift 7 or Control Shift ampersand to put a border around this whole area. No need to go to the Control 1 dialog box for that. But to add a border to the bottom of this, we press Shift Control right to select this row, and then Control 1, and then we press the Alt B key to get a border at the bottom right there. And then Enter to activate that. And so that's all we really need to do. Borders are pretty straightforward in Excel, nothing too complicated here. One thing to be careful about in terms of borders is that you're actually selecting the right area. In a lot of cases, you mess up and you select an entire row or an entire column when you just want part of it. So that's the only thing to really be aware of with borders. Just be absolutely certain you have the right area selected. And if there's any doubt, so maybe you're looking at this and you think that down here, you think that you might have accidentally added a border here, but this is really just a pane, a frame in Excel. Just press Control 1, go to border. You see that there's nothing in this area right here. So that means that you're safe. So when in doubt, press Control 1 and go to border to check and verify that you did it correctly. But those are the basics of borders. In the next lesson, we're going to be going over fills, basically background colors, which we touched on before, but I'll go over it in a little bit more detail this time and show you a few more shortcuts there.